Welcome to Camaraderie, a channel dedicated to finding out just exactly what I would do for a Klondike bar. This episode is sponsored by, no, I wouldn't do anything for a Klondike bar. I don't really eat sweets. Not really, anyways. If I did want a Klondike bar, I'd just go to the grocery store and exchange some money for a Klondike bar. So, I went to Chicago recently and shot my first ever roll of JCH StreetPan 400. If you saw that video, you'll know that I was left unimpressed by the results. Because I'm such a magnanimous individual, though, I figured it'd be cool to get a couple other rolls and give StreetPan 400 another chance. First, a quick rundown. JCH stands for Japan Camera Hunter, which some of y'all might recognize. JCH was started by Bellamy Hunt about 10 years ago as a sort of camera broker business. Basically, Bellamy Hunt traipses around Japan and other parts of the world looking for cameras that people ask him to find, and honestly, that kind of sounds like a dream job. Fast forward 5 years, and he saw the ever-decreasing number of film stocks available, so he decided to make a new one, and that's where StreetPan 400 comes in. StreetPan is not a new film stock, not entirely. It's more of a resurrected AGFA film stock that was used in traffic surveillance cameras back before everything went digital. Now, to be clear, this is not a rebadged, rebranded, just random master reel that was found in a warehouse somewhere. This stuff is made super fresh. It's still being manufactured. It's not like they just have a limited supply of it and then when it runs out, it runs out. This, it is new. It is being manufactured new. Like the rolls that I shot for this video expire in 2023. Don't mind me, I just Tascam ran out of batteries, so I don't know when it cut out, so fresh double A's, baby. So because StreetPan was originally made with like street and traffic surveillance in mind, it says on the website that its color sensitivity extends like into the infrared range of the spectrum, of the light spectrum, which should enable it to pick up objects, kind of like cut through fog and clouds and whatnot to pick up stuff that, you know, might be clouded. You know, it makes sense for a street surveillance camera film stock, because I'm not saying that very well at all. No, it makes sense though, you know, like especially something that's going to be automated, you're going to want it to be able to kind of cut through fog or clouds or adverse weather at like a traffic light. So it makes sense. To my understanding, it's not as sensitive as like a full-on infrared film stock like Kodak's Aerochrome or any of the other like stuff that they would use in surveillance and reconnaissance airplane cameras, but I mean that's an entirely different use case. So how does it shoot? I'm too close and it's I think it's blurry. So I did zero research before I started shooting this film. I just picked it up. I'd seen it in my local camera shop a few times and I was like, you know, I wonder. So I grabbed a roll and was like, you know, I'm gonna shoot this in Chicago. So I did. I plopped it in my F2 right before, or kind of like as me and my brother Clint were about to head up the Sears Tower, go to the top and go to the viewing deck and everything. And so I didn't know that it was supposed to be able to like cut through fog and clouds and all that, but I had heard that it was apparently good for dusk and dawn situations, and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like getting close to sunset, so figured it'd be a decent roll of film to have up there at that time. And yeah, no, this film stock definitely has a look. I just can't figure out what that look is. Does it want to be contrasty, moody, foggy, and undefined, or super crisp? I don't know. Maybe I got a weird batch, but after shooting 3 rolls, I still don't know what to expect from this film stock. And when I got home from Chicago and started developing this roll, I immediately thought something was weird, because when I did my standard pre-wash of the film, the water came out looking like it had soot in it or something. Color film usually has some sort of tint to the water just based on the film stock. Black and white film has always come out clear for me. So that kind of threw me off, and I was like, what is going on? And yeah, no, I did it the second time when I shot these next 2 rolls. The resulting negatives came out looking like half the emulsion had washed off, and the scans looked the same. I was frustrated when I got that first roll scanned in, but I wanted to give JCH another chance before I completely wrote it off. Maybe I messed up something in developing. Maybe I'm not supposed to pre-wash it. I don't know why that would make any difference, since everything that came off it during the pre-wash would come off whenever I dump out the developer. I needed to do more research. And so I did, and here we are. Now, it turns out that this film stock evokes some fairly strong emotions and opinions from people. Now, some people took issue with this film stock when it was released, saying that Bellamy Hunt was just kind of doing a cash grab, or saying that there's no way it's not expired film, stuff like that. There's nothing that would lead me to believe that this is anything other than what Bellamy Hunt says that it is. I mean, like I said, the film stock boxes say that it expires in 2023, and obviously if it's already expired film, it would have expired a long time before that. So I don't have any reason to believe that it's not fresh film that's being manufactured in Belgium by AGFA for JCH. As for the cash grab theory of everything, I don't know how popular this theory is now, but I don't know if people understand how bulk manufacturing works. Small one-off types of productions are gonna be more expensive. That's just how it works, and that's what this project was at first. It was always Bellamy's goal to get this film out there and get it stabilized and work out the kinks in the manufacturing process and see what the demand was, and then be able to ramp up production, and then that would bring the cost down. And it's funny now, it's sad really, looking back at what these rolls were going for back in the day when they were super expensive. And yeah, I only wish we still had 2016 film prices. It was going for like $8 a roll, and now it's like, man, $8 for a roll of black and white would be pretty nice. Other people absolutely love this film, saying that it's got a super nice grain structure and or a super fine grain structure, and it retains all the details in the highlights, and it cuts through the fog and does everything else that the stat sheet says that it's supposed to do. And they really love the look of it and everything. That retains details in the highlights, etc., etc., etc. All the things that people seem to say about like every other black and white film stock out there. For me though, this film stock really perplexes me. On one hand, it's actually super frustrating to work with. Like, it'll literally curl up on itself while I'm trying to scan and everything, or put it into an archival sleeve. Processing just kind of becomes a pain with working with this JCH stuff. But on the other hand, it does have a look that I have not found in any other film stock I've ever shot with. There may be some out there that have a similar look, but I haven't shot every film stock. So it seems to be ultra contrasty in some shots, but in other shots, the midtones just sing. It has a charcoaly look in the blacks, except when it doesn't. The fact sheet says it has near IR capabilities and can cut through fog, but in Chicago, it seemed to just lose all detail in those parts of the shot. It says it has a good working latitude, but it also seems to blow out the highlights and the shadows in the same frame. but then the next shot it renders everything in crisp detail. So I don't know what to make of this film stock, is what I'm saying. And for that reason, I don't know if I can fully recommend buying this film stock. When it comes to film, I like predictability, just so that I can, even if I change things up and want to change like little variables here and there, like I like to have a predictable base point from which to work. It seems like you really need to meter for the shadows in this film and then pull the highlights back in post. But even when I just get like an average reading of both the highlights and the shadows, then everything seems blown out. Like the highlights are way too bright, the shadows are way too dark, and I'm just left kind of puzzled, at least without doing a bunch of extra processing. Like this, I think, is like the shadows are pulled all the way up and then the highlights are brought all the way down. And I just don't, that to me kind of throws off the entire image. Some people might like that, I guess, but for me, I'd like to keep things a little bit simpler in the post-processing stage. The less that I feel like I have to change, the better. Unless I have a super specific look in mind, then I'm gonna tend to just stick pretty darn close to what the film stock gives me. Just the native look of the film stock. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point of shooting different film stocks? You know what I mean? Obviously, some color change, you know, editing here and there, it doesn't bother me. But I just like the character of different film stocks, so I'm not going to get into that conversation about editing film. Do whatever you want, obviously, but I think it's cool that you can load something different into the same camera, shoot the same thing, and get different results. So I just like the native look of different film stocks. So I do prefer to stick as close to that as possible. Or again, at least have a predictable base to work from. And that's about it for JCH StreetPan 400. I think the conclusion that I came to is I definitely won't be switching out one of my regular film stocks with JCH StreetPan 400 anytime soon. But I can't say don't shoot with it, because you might really like it. So pick up a roll and see what happens. See if you can make some magic. One thing's for sure though, I cannot applaud Bellamy Hunt enough for having the balls to try and pull something off like this. I just wish that he had chosen a different film stock to resurrect than something that was used in old traffic surveillance cameras. We need more people with that sort of gumption and conviction to try stuff like this if film is gonna keep going the way that it's been for the last 10 plus years and continue resurrecting things and bringing things back and trying to make totally new film stocks. We need that kind of energy in the film community. So again, hats off. I don't have a hat on, but my metaphorical hat is off to Bellamy Hunt for making this film. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have ever shot with JCH and what your impressions are of it. It's all just I've only shot 3 rolls and, you know, haven't really experimented with it or tried to nail down my process with JCH StreetPan 400, but I've got so many other film stocks that I prefer shooting with just right off the rip, so I don't. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you've ever shot with it, what your impressions are. If you know why it seems like half the emulsion is just washing off in the pre-wash, let me know, because that was super unexpected. And I'll be here on this side of the video. Nope. I'll be here on this side of the lens in the next video, so until then, see ya.